What is up and welcome back. It's Skovos bringing you another video. In today's video, we're going to be going over some tips and tricks to help manage your inventory and stash space in Escape from Tarkov. So a couple shortcuts and hotkeys that I want to touch base on, especially if you're a beginning player. This is going to help you out a lot and save you a lot of time while looting and managing your inventory space. The first thing is when you're looking at tactical rigs, backpacks, or anything that has slots inside of them, including weapons, you can double click on them to open up the menu with the items inside. So that's going to make it a lot easier instead of trying to right click, then click on the open option. Another thing is when you're holding an item on your cursor, moving it around with the left click, you can click the R button on your keyboard to rotate the item. So that's going to make playing Tetris with items in your stash space and inventory a lot easier. Another thing that makes your life a lot easier is holding control and left clicking an item will automatically move it back and forth, saving you valuable time while looting or while emptying your player after a raid. So regardless whether you're just starting off, you're in the middle of the game, or you're in-game content, you're going to be doing scav runs at some point. So if your player does not have a bunch of items equipped and you're going to do a scav run, go ahead and throw on that backpack, throw on your tactical rig. That way you free up a lot of room in your stash and don't have to worry about losing any of this since you're dropping in as a scav. Just don't forget to take it back off if you're doing a PMC run. So if you're still early on in the game or have not leveled up your loyalty levels of your vendors yet, the best backpack you can buy from one of them is going to be the Sleigh, and that's only a 3x2, so it's very, very small. Now, I get that any backpack is better than no backpack, but when you have the option to upgrade as a PMC or scav, definitely do so. And if you can bring out Burka backpacks, definitely grab as many of those as you can, and you can stack them inside of each other. And what I mean by this is inside of my Burka backpack is another Burka backpack. Inside of that is yet another one. So you can do this a lot of times and stack tons of backpacks inside of each other. So I could always throw this other backpack I have with healing items inside of it inside of this backpack as well. So I could save tons and tons of space by doing this. Just remember, if you're ever going to sell off any of these backpacks, that you double check what's inside because the items will be lost in the trade. So for the sake of this tip, I stored all of my money away so I don't have any in my stash except for this 1 ruble. But say I want my money to be stacked neatly over here every single time. So whenever I extract with money, I can always control click and it'll automatically add it to the stack. If I had no money in my inventory whatsoever, when I control click it, it will put it in the first available slot. So if you ever played Path of Exile, you'll understand this concept. So you can always stack, for example, 1 ruble here, and 1 ruble here, and then put the rest of the money in your storage. That way when you control click the next time, it'll automatically go to the first available stack that is not full. Once this reach 500,000, that is the max stack for rubles, it will automatically go to the second stack here and not adding it randomly to wherever the available space is in my stash. So obviously most of this video is all personal preference to begin with, but this one is a little more so than the rest. So for this tip, I recommend keeping either the top of your stash or the left-hand side of your stash or whatever just completely open. That way when you get back from a raid, you can just control click these items and know exactly what you just brought out. So I know anything right here is stuff that I just grabbed from the raid, and then I can go ahead and organize it from there. So whenever you're working with weapons, keep an eye on what attachments change the shape of the gun and how much space it takes up. So I could take the clip off and the rear grip off to make the gun narrower in length. Then I can take the stock off to make it shorter. Now this works in different ways. I can add these attachments back, have the gun as one whole piece, and then I can throw on extra attachments as they allow me to save even more room. Now on the same note as this AK, try to focus on one weapon type. So I have this 7.62x39 and I'm using an AK-103. So I enjoy this weapon, it's got a lot of recoil, but the attachments reduce the recoil. So my attachments, I'm going to focus on keeping stuff that I can equip to this. Now I know some of them can't be equipped, or maybe I already have the attachment on here, but in order to save room, you don't want to hoard onto every weapon type, every attachment for any kind of weapons, because that's going to fill up your stash very, very quickly. And as you can see from the handbook, if you aren't familiar with this yet, I have a lot of stuff discovered, but not nearly everything in the game. In just my weapon parts and mods, there's 580 that I've come across so far. So if you aren't very leveled yet and you don't have a lot of money saved up, you definitely don't want to hold on to a bunch of unnecessary items. So if you have high-end items that you're just holding on to because you know that one day you'll use it, you might as well sell it now and get the best use out of that money early on in the game instead of holding on to that item and potentially just losing it the first time you go out with it anyways. So if you happen to be level 5 and you're questioning whether you should keep or sell an item for later on, go ahead and head over to the trading option and open up the flea market. Search for the item in question, and then you can get a rough idea of what it's worth. Now whenever doing this, just be wary because people are going to overprice things by a lot sometimes. And in this example, this one person is selling it for 73,000. The next highest is selling for 25,000. You can see that the 73,000 is about to expire in 6 hours. You can change the sorting option to the lowest price to see that most of these have been up for over an hour and they're about 15,000. So this is probably not worth holding on to because I could just sell it right now and then pick one up if I ever need this specifically. So the moral of the story, or the TLDR, is if you're not going to use it now, tomorrow, or in the immediate future, just vendor it or sell it in the flea market. It's going to be put to a lot better use as money in your stash instead of collecting dust in your inventory. So that's going to wrap up today's video. If you have any other tips and tricks for entry-level inventory management or saving space, go ahead and drop those in the comment section down below. I did not mention any of the containers in this video because this is more geared towards beginning players and players of low levels who may not have access to those loyalty levels of the vendors or the funds to purchase those outright. So I really hope this video helped you out in some way, shape, or form, and if you want to return the favor and enjoy my content, that subscribe button is just one click away and helps me out a lot more than you may realize. If you enjoy this video specifically, clicking that thumbs up is a great way to express that. If you did not enjoy it, you're more than welcome to also click the thumbs down. But whether you did click or didn't click any of the things I suggested, I still hope you have a good evening, afternoon, morning, night, or whatever it is, wherever you are, but thank you for stopping by, and I hope to see you in one of my next videos.